Guys, this is Professor Diehard, and I'm joined here with Aries Gaming Productions. What's going on, Aries?
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? So before we get started, I just want to do a quick shout out. Welcome to anyone who watches this now or later. This is going to be a discussion video. We're just going to be kind of talking about Cyberpunk 2077. I know, really awkward that we're in Final Fantasy 14. I originally wanted
Yeah.
to, yeah, I originally wanted to stream this on Cyberpunk, but there was some issues on the PlayStation, so I decided just to do it in 14. That way, Ares kind of show himself in the flesh or in the game flesh. Oh, I stood up. Damn it.
Broke the second
Sad
rule.
day. I broke the rule. So we just want to take a moment here and just talk about a game that was very controversial. Something that we both looked forward to at the beginning, and it's kind of talk about Cyberpunk 2077. So we've all heard the story. It was the game that everyone that was a gamer that was excited for. Sold incredibly well. They oversold and underdelivered when it was out. All the PC master lords were saying, "Oh, the game's fun on PC," blah, 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 all that stuff. The game came out in a very poor state on PS4. You couldn't get a PS5 at the time. It was just a very, very bad state. Plenty of bugs, lots of glitches. Just made people not want to play the game anymore. And honestly, Cyberpunk was the game that officially knocked me over the edge in terms of trusting developers, trusting the hype of a game, and believing anything developers said they will actually deliver on. That was the final stone. That was the last hair that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
What about you, Aries?
So I mean, I'd already kind of got disenchanted with it on some parts of it, like I was like a big fan of like Halo and stuff, and when 343 kind of botched like one of the most iconic game franchises of all time, like consistently, I had started to already kind of grow disenchanted with the entire industry, but I was willing to give Cyberpunk a chance, and do that, but it just is the same thing for me. It caused my just lack of interest in what developers were saying about games, how they were presenting them, a lot of that shit. So basically, just a lot of uh, promising you the world, but giving you a fishbowl, essentially. So,
Yeah, no, very well put. So basically, we know the story of what happened. It released in a very, very, very poor state. So much rubber banding. I was literally, I would be at the start of a mission. And I would be at the very end of it, and it would like slingshot me all the way back to the beginning of the mission.
yes,
It was, I mean, the crashing was ridiculous. Frame rates that would drop to like 3 frames per second. I'm not even exaggerating. It was so bad.
yeah,
It was just, it was very sad. It was very sad to see. Here's the thing though. This is not something that I'll give. This is not a thing I'm going to give credit to. But maybe I'll give a half credit. CD Projekt Red never really gave up on the game. They didn't pull a BioWare where they just kind of said, we're done with it, like Andromeda. They didn't just like throw in the towel immediately when the game was released and just refuse to make any other content. They just completely gave up on it, which is really sad, because I think Andromeda could have, potentially come back a little bit, which they made a lot of changes that made it a little bit better in terms of cosmetic fixes, but in terms of what it was, it is what it is. But when it came to Cyberpunk, they have been spending the past couple of years, almost a few years, making the game better. And the reason why I give them a half credit is here's the problem: it shouldn't have ever had to be like that.
yes,
That's the thing that I draw the line. That yeah, good job on fixing the game. That should have been like that at release. But moving on, because I think that when you justify poor business practices like that, releasing a shit ass game that's not even complete, and then saying, "Hey, it's fine. I mean, they're working on it. They're fixing the bugs. Yada yada." That's not right. Because if anything, if you would have known. I mean, my biggest thing is this. I'd rather a developer tell me a game is not fully ready, and if I make that decision to buy the game, that's on me. Versus you tell me it's ready, and because you release the game, and it's actual crap.
yeah,
I'm not against early title games. I'm not against games that come out in pre-alpha and they're wanting the players to play it, test it, give them feedback. Nothing wrong with that if that is what the player's okay with. But to release the game on full price for that is just unforgivable. So so that's why I kind of want to share the kind of preamble here before we get into our main conversation. But before we get into that, I need to talk about something that I just watched today that was insanely incredible. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but I'm going to be talking about the Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime that they released as a Netflix original. And let me tell you guys, I kept hearing how amazing it was, and the biggest reason why I didn't watch it was because I was still very upset with. I wasn't very upset. I just didn't really feel like watching anything Cyberpunk related because of how much Cyberpunk really disappointed me. I didn't really want to watch anything of that sort. It wasn't on my mind. Well, I decided to watch it today, and I have to say 10 out of 10. Cyberpunk Edge Runners is impeccable. It is so well done for just a 10 episode animation. Not only by obviously what I just said, the animation, how beautiful it looks. The story is so well done. The characters, every single character has such a level of depth to them that is insane that you can reach that in just 10 episodes. That most shows struggle to even accomplish that in seasons, in one season. Hell, if even more. And I gotta say, if you are interested if you're an anime fan or is interested in Cyberpunk in general, I highly recommend you watch Edge Runners. Very good. And so why am I bringing that up? Because I think talking about Edge Runners is vital to talking about the future of Cyberpunk 2077 2, whatever the name is going to be. Probably be like Cyberpunk 2078. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a mouthful. It's Cyberpunk 2077 2. That's a terrible name.
Cyberpunk 2096. What the fuck? We're like a 20 years in advance. Yeah,
I mean, we're basically going to Xbox nomenclature at this point. Xbox One to Xbox Series X. Wait, what? When PlayStation just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
it's very simplistic. So why bring it up? So we have a list here that we both have on our, with each other right now, talking about some of the things that have to be included in the next Cyberpunk. And I already mentioned a couple of those things, but we'll just go on and knock it off here. The first one, better characters. So I'll start this off here. I'll say this. What was one of the biggest disappointments that I saw? Jackie. No one else will say it. Is it Jackie? Is that your best friend?
Your buddy, yeah.
Yeah. But like people will be like, whoa, I love Jackie. He was great. They literally spoiled his death in the trailers.
Yeah.
They literally
dies the first mission.
They literally, it's not like it's obviously he's exaggerating, not the first mission, but still, it's very early in the game where he dies. And you meet him, you meet this character at the very beginning of the game, regardless of what choice you take in terms of by the way, that's the other thing we got to talk about. Whatever role you decide, the nomad, the street kid, or the corpo, regardless, he's there. And the problem with that is after that very short intro you have with these three archetypes, you are then subjected to a cutscene of you guys getting started in Night City that you do not experience. It's kind of like it's a stupid cutscene where I'm getting all badass. We're doing all these fun missions, and I'm making all these awesome connections with people. Look at that high five of that random guy at a basketball court. So great.
Guess what, kids? You don't get to participate in it. And
you don't get to participate.
You are a sideline basketball watcher with you basically getting thrown into that world.
Yes, you. Well, yeah. Isn't that so frustrating? Like the archetypes, the three main roles that you have, basically are your introduction into the world. But the problem with that is there's no depth to it. I mean, maybe on a dialogue side, there is a little bit of it. If anything, the Nomad is actually the best start because there's actually combat. It's a little bit longer than the others. You actually do more things. But even still, Very short, very, very, very short. And then you're subjected to a long, not sound long, to like a small to a medium cut scene that just fast forwards you to like the first showcase of Cyberpunk, that mission where you're saving the girl in the ice bath. That's
Yeah.
it. Which is really stupid. And I think that, with all honesty, it kind of shows you just how much cut content there was. That also kind of shows you just how fast they throw you in without giving you enough to really hold on to some of these characters. Like Jackie, he's dead in like the first 3 minutes. Guys, if you've not played Cyberpunk, there's going to be obviously spoilers here, but you can't call that a spoiler because it was literally in the trailers. So if you're
Yeah.
upset about that, get over it. So he literally dies so fast, and it's over. And the reason why I talk about that is because let's talk about the anime. The animation in 10 episodes, I cared more about every single character in that show more than I did in any character that's actually in Cyberpunk 2077. Okay, right now, I want you to name me a character in Cyberpunk 2077. Other than Jackie. It does not count. You cannot count Jackie. He's literally the first person you meet.
The only character I can think of is that girl with the like kind of like one-sided short hair, but she's all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
She's just, it doesn't even seem like she's at the same place at the same time. She's every part of the story she just moves, and you're just like, hey,
Yeah.
do you not have your hub world thing where I can go find you? She's like, no, I gotta fucking go. Like it's
Yeah, so I can think of a couple. It's Pan Am and it's Adam Smasher because Adam Smasher's like one of the big bad guys.
or Keanu, like the fucking Keanu Reeves. Like
Johnny's
that's
Johnny Silverhand. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
you can name a few, right? But when it comes to the animation, all the characters have a lot more depth. Johnny Silverhand is very interesting. I will give him that. Pan Am is interesting, but here's the problem though. She's like one of the only people you can really romance in Cyberpunk 2077. You can fuck other people, but like she's the only real person you can make a connection with on that level. Now, and it's not saying that all the characters in that game are bad. It's just that it actually brings us into our next one of our next points is the story. Me and Aries were kind of coming up with a list of what we want to talk about for the show, and one of the things that he said that was incredibly on point with what we're talking about is having a better sense of belonging in the world. I'm gonna be honest. I hate V. I hate his character. His character is so boring because it's not based upon his story. It's based upon everyone else around him. And not only that, his intros are incredibly boring that don't really change anything other than some dialogue options, which don't change anything either. They're just there. They change small little occurrences throughout the game that don't actually have a significant impact as much as you would think, which is really bad, really, really bad. And one of the things too that was mentioned is just like you are by yourself all the time in this game.
Yep.
What you're with Jackie at the beginning at certain missions where you kind of go into I'm terrible with the naming of some of these groups, but those cyber psychos, the guys who are selling all the mods, like the drug people, all that stuff. They go into this den and like you have this really cool moment with Jackie wanting to start blasting the place open and stuff. But like it's really annoying because like you see the level of depth that you can achieve with like different ways to do a mission. But then again, it's all in the very beginning of it. It doesn't really feel like it kind of flows through the rest of the missions. It's very kind of linear after that. But still, back to the point. V does not really belong very well in the world, and you don't really feel like you are a merc. You are going around killing people all the time. That's what you're always doing. You're going over here shooting people up, going over here shooting people up, going over here shooting people up. With little to, you get some sort of payoff, but like it's not based upon V's character. It's based upon,
It's all the story elements that you're basically participating in, and Like, that's not necessarily like a bad thing that you're participating in them. It's just that the character that you're playing as when you participate in those things is he just acts like he's too fucking cool for school. Like he just basically yeah, fucking sucks or yeah, it's fucking awesome. Like he has the reactions of like an eighth grader. Like he has no
He does, yeah.
he has no depth in his reactions to things at all. He's basically just fucking going around being like yeah, fuck that bitch, yeah, fucking motherfuckers. Like I mean, really, it's literally like an eighth grade kid who just got through with puberty and has like found a gun and drugs. All he
Yeah.
does is shoot up and wants to shoot birds outside the city. Like that's all this guy wants to do, really.
I
And
think the
like
main
it's just
character for
terrible.
Fallout 4, when you play as a guy, has more
Yeah,
depth in his dialogue than B does,
yeah.
and
At
that's
least he
bad.
gets. At least he has an emotional range. Like you and your options and your
Yeah,
dialogue actually have like you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be happy. Like, and that affects how the characters like react to you and shit. Like they either like what you say or they don't like what you say. And like yeah, there's way more depth in like Fallout, definitely Fallout 3 and New Vegas and Fallout 4 than what you do here because sometimes you only have like two or three uh, dialogue options. So you don't even have that much. And like everything else with being meaningful to the world at least, like the things that you kind of do, like it doesn't really change like things going on in the environment too much.
yeah.
Like if you go into a place and you like wipe out like the cops in like an area, you would expect people to like the next time you go to there, you would expect people on the streets like kind of like shooting up like the mods and the drugs and everything, and like the city streets would be polluted with like the gang members and stuff. They've taken over like the city or that part of the town, like that stuff. Like that is the very thing that I think would benefit the next game is if hey you can actually wipe out the police in that area and the gang lords will take it over. Like they will swarm that place. And they will be people living there, like moving into it and stuff. Because that's what would happen. If you like if you went down to the streets of like Louisville, Kentucky and eradicated the police department, I guarantee you there would not be some nice figures there in that city going, you know what?
Yeah.
Police are gone. But we'll do whatever the fuck we want to because there's no law enforcement there. They can just Grand Theft Auto your car, and there would be nobody to call. The same thing should happen with Cyberpunk.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good point because then again, it's a double-edged sword. Like depending on how
Mm,
you play the game, depends on how the
yes,
world is affected. So like if you're,
Fable. Yeah,
exactly
Fable is the best
Fable, that's
example
a
of that
great example. Yeah,
whenever you start murdering the townsfolk, the sky literally darkens and like the sun doesn't shine, and like there's nobody on the streets. The town is desolate in that game if you start doing that. But if you like help
yeah,
people, the sun shines all the time and like the people are happy and like everybody's just kind of like running around. Like it's perfectly like
yeah,
perfectly acceptable to do that.
yeah. So basically, in a nutshell, what we're talking about is action should have consequences, and that's what's
Yes.
just not in the game. So, very good point, though, for real. We didn't even talk about that. This kind of came up. That's why I love doing these like little discussion videos. It's just
Yeah.
they kind of just drum up. So more
So
meaningful belonging.
yes,
Another
more
thing I
and more things to do
Yeah,
for
so,
our the
but
next thing that
yeah,
we were
yeah, that's the
thinking
next
of.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes. So, in terms of belonging, just to hit on one more thing on that,
Mm,
if you are going to claim that you have different starters, like starting points in the game, you have to make sure that they are very solid backgrounds, that they actually have
matter.
snippets of the world that actually matter. Like, let's talk about a good example. Dragon Age.
Yeah.
Dragon Age
Mm,
Origins. It's an older game now. It came on 360, which feels like forever ago. That's like yesterday for me. Love that game. And what was so cool about it is like depending on what race you were, changed what and there was different like starting points and backgrounds. Human was just one, but for other races there was a couple. But it changes based on what race you are and like what you're doing in terms of class, changes your start. So like there was like 4, 5, or 6 intro sequences. I think it was 3 or 4. I may be like 4 or 5. I think I can't remember. But there's like 4 or 5 starting sequences to your character that change depending on what you chose in your character creation. That the story was different at the beginning. It gave you more context of like you would know more things about certain things, which they did accomplish that to a small degree in Cyberpunk. Not as much as Dragon Age, but it gave you a sense of belonging and kind of gave you an allegiance of sorts. Like for instance, if you were in Dragon Age Origins and you were a mage, you start off in the circle. You start off in the circle and you escape from the circle because you go with the Grey Warden to, yeah, again, they all kind of go to the same point where you join the Grey Warden and become a Grey Warden. But each start was very significant and had plot points that mattered. If you were a dwarf, that changed as well. Because you would be in the Dwarven City, you have a big thing where like your brother kills the leader and he takes over and you have to escape with your life. Which I mean, I'm just saying these things because like as for developers, I encourage you to look at these older games that honestly mastered these concepts at the time. Do they still do it? Dragon Age Inquisition didn't do a great job with that, as well as Origins did. But like they really set a tone of like, hey, this is how you start off a game, and this is how you really create a character. This is how you make your character believable and have worth and meaning in the world at the get-go. Then you can take that worth and go around, and that could change how you play the character, how you interpret the character, and all that. V, it has no point, no meaning whatsoever. V is the same V regardless of what background he has. There is no difference. There is no Panam. She is a nomad. I was able to romance her the exact same as a corpo, as a street kid, and as a nomad. No differences whatsoever. Maybe like a dialogue sequence where it's like, hey, I was a nomad too. Okay. And I mean, it's the only like side mission you get for a nomad is like you have a mission where like you find your old vehicle and you just give your vehicle away to some random stranger and that's the mission.
Yeah, like it's like he feels like a very shitty written DMC character, like Devil May Cry character. That's what he feels like. He feels like a very potty mouth DMC character that got put into Cyberpunk instead of the other way around.
Hell, honestly, DMC characters have way more depth and character development in general.
Way more depth. But than this ass clown that you play around for 40 hours, like
he is not. He is the same V. He talks the same. He still says, yo, choom. Like, he still has this, like, street kid level of dialect that he has in his voice that literally does not match anything that he does. Other than, like, if you were a street kid or nomad. Which is
he's
really...
the type of guy to show up at the bar just belligerently drunk and just yell, fuck y'all. No, fuck you. For literally subjugating us to a bad character. Fuck you.
Yeah. So again, V regardless is only interesting because he has Johnny Silverhand in his head. The characters around him make him more interesting, but then again, like him himself is not interesting. It's very bare bones. It's very linear in terms of his character development. I mean, yeah, he's going to die if he doesn't get help. Okay, but then again, nothing really changes or matters to finish the game faster because, like, you can just keep playing the game infinitely and you won't die. I mean, just because they have like this unrealistic calamity coming, but it doesn't matter because it won't come to the end of the game. So it's kind of stupid. Like, there's no sense in having like this death timer there's no timer. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to die, but it doesn't matter. Which kind of
even then there are older games that do that better, and it literally was on the Nintendo 64. It's called Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, and
that's a good topic. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
the moon is literally going to collide with the planet in 3 days, and it's actual in-game time. So when a day passes, the moon gets closer and closer and closer until it finally hits, and so, like, that type of, even then, again, older games doing something better than what Cyberpunk, with all their resources and their technology and the community kind of telling them what direction they want to go, didn't do. and or
Yeah.
didn't even look at. They probably didn't even think of doing that when they made the concept. They just thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like you were like poisoned and like you got to like fix yourself. Okay, yeah, cool concept. How you gonna implement it? Yeah, no timer.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
exactly. So the sense of, even then, the sense of belonging is further taken away because there's just no real. You are basically a merc, right? That is
hmm
basically what you are. And I mean, if you're just playing it on that, yeah, I mean, it gets that done. But with all honesty, what other game hasn't done that better? Plenty of games, I will say that. So so not only just we'll get to the customization of other stuff here in a sec, but what else? So more things to do. Yeah, I mean, in the game, you all you do is shoot and kill things and talk to people. That is the game, through and through. There
You
are
have like
different,
you have like
yeah.
random like so like yeah, you have the different games. You can go to the bars and stuff, which given credit on that, the atmosphere for the bars does feel pretty nice. Like when you go into a bar, it feels like a futuristic bar. Like
Hundred
like
percent. Yeah.
everybody is like clubbing it up. Like people are getting shit housed. Like like that atmosphere is there. You could even hook up with random like hookers on the street and shit. Like that kind of stuff. Like
So let's
that's
talk
part
about
of that is
that.
kind of cool.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. So it's not as many people as you think. It's
Yeah.
very low, and so that's actually a good point to talk about. So I don't think there's any downsides to the look of the city and how the game looks. That's 10 out of 10. You cannot argue
hmm
with that. The game looks amazing. The city is very filled to the brim. That's not the problem that we're talking about. So my problem is the very big deception that was given us. That I'll never forget. There was an interview where, like there's this guy, he had these sunglasses on, very groovy dude, and he was just kind of talking about how, like, you can just hook up with people, bring them back to your apartment. That does not happen once in the game.
Nope. Never.
Does not happen once. I mean, you can, yeah, there are prostitutes that you can hook up with and stuff. Okay, cool. There's the corpo chick that you can save her butt, and she wants to, have, not hate sex, but
And a
she wants
cost.
to go.
Yeah.
She wants to. There's literally a mission where you have to go meet her for something, and she just wants to bang. That's the mission. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. There's that. There's Pan Am. She's the only real romanceable character for a guy to a female. There's gay romances, of course, but
Mm.
we'll get into that in a sec. But yeah, it's very very low in terms of, like, who you can hook up with and stuff. Very minute, very 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 minute. Which is cool that you can do it, but like, what my problem is it was completely lied about, of like the who all it
The
could
scope.
be, the
Yeah.
scope of it. It was a complete lie. So more things to do. So I'll talk about a couple of things. They did add mini games. They add arcade games into the world. They just did that with the patch. So there are certain arcade games in the game now. So that's cool. There should have been, but then again, it should have been in the initial release. That's all I'm going to say. There needs to be more like fun things to do in the world. I mean, it's a city. There's so many fun things you can do to, like, go on dates with chicks. Take her to the theme park. But no, every theme park is just filled to the brim with gangsters and cyber psychos and all this stuff. It's like the whole town is overrun with just gang members.
Yeah.
So you can't even go down to the street corner and buy a falafel, just to hang out with your chick. I mean, it's crazy. It's like you can't even do like basic things like that unless it's like scripted, for like a
Yeah.
main scenario
Without
mission.
without getting shot by getting too close to somebody. Like you're just like literally it's like the meme. It's like you're too close, man. You're too close. Like that's the literal NPC reaction to you just walking in the street sometimes. And it's
Yeah,
just like, dude, I'm not trying to fucking fight you. Like I'm trying to grab Waffle House. Like no, it's just it's unrealistic on how many people just want to like fuck with you in the city. Like
exactly. That's such a good way of saying it. Like, it's unreal. Okay, don't get me wrong. Look, they do not lack for enemies to fight. That's not the issue. But
yeah.
like, there's no point. Like, I mean, if you kill a bunch of tiger claws, nothing changes. Like, no one gets mad at you. No one starts trying to hunt you down. There's no system of being cool with one gang versus being cool with another gang. That actually matters. It's very just it does not matter. Um,
Even in a game like Warframe has at least factions that when you befriend one, you lose affinity with another one, and they will appear in missions and hunt you down. At least it's a free-to-play game, and at
yeah.
least they have a system like that. Whereas this supposed, next gen Jewel doesn't have anything like that. All they have is enemies that would just fuck with you for no reason in the middle of the city, respawn. You got to deal with them in about 30 more minutes.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. The cops don't really have much of a purpose other than to just fight you. I mean, they do on occasion get in shootouts with like gang members, but
Yeah.
there's no arrest system, which you would think that has to be in the game. Why is there not an arrest
Yeah.
system that you can get arrested? Um, one of my biggest things that I would have loved to have played was like if I was a corpo, I would have loved to be on the trauma team. I would love to have seen what it meant to be on the trauma team or the Max Tech, the guys who literally get called in to kill cyber psychos. By the way, just talking about this, watch the anime because the anime literally goes into detail about these guys. Let me backtrack. Details in terms of how they perform in combat, how badass they are, how they're. I mean, they in the game they're like level one enemies in terms of
Yeah, fodder.
importance. In terms of there are some that are difficult, but like what I'm saying is like those in the anime, they make them badass. They make them tough guys to fight. And that's what I'm saying that like what they did with the whole Corpo thing, it would have been so cool if you could actually like have a faction system where like you could be a part of one faction, be part of another faction, like be part of the trauma team, like be part of something that makes the world more believable and like gives you more of a place of belonging and a faction to belong to. But that's not what they do. You are literally a merc, and that's why I'm gonna be honest with you. I cannot stand games like that anymore. Assassin's Creed Odyssey drove me insane. I cannot stand that. I do not like the idea of being able to, hey, I'm going to fight with the Spartans this time. Oh, hey, I'm going to kill the Spartans this time. Makes no sense at all. In the grand scheme of it all, makes no sense. Obviously, yeah, we need hired warriors to help us in the fight. Okay, but like, it takes away from the fact of now the believability of like what faction you want to side with. But it makes it just all feel like it's all pointless. That like everything else around you is cooler, except you. And that's another thing we're going to talk about later. The next thing, do you have anything more about this point, Aries?
No, let's move on to the next one. Just about the
Yeah,
combat.
go. You take it. Yeah, you go right ahead.
Yeah. So we were talking about this too. I think like it was probably like a couple of days after the game came out originally. And for those of you guys who don't know like what Professor Diehard likes to play as, he likes to get a sword, at least one sword, and choppy chop. And so whenever they do have melee weapons in the game, they try to make it seem like, oh hey, oh look at this sick, katana thing. You could actually be a real samurai in a like a kind of like a pseudo cyber tech samurai person going around, and you have your gun and stuff, but you stick to the blade type of thing. There's no reason to use melee weapons in that game, so I honestly don't even know why they had them because there's no point in having them. The melee combat doesn't really feel that good in the game. So all you have is literally just, it kind of just is there to make you look cooler, I guess, but you can't even see your character, so you don't even know how the sword really looks on your person. So after that, it's either do I want to carry my, kind of useless sword or useless, fucking club or whatever you've got, a pull stick on you, and instead
Yeah.
just pull out the Glock and shoot somebody. Like that is way better combat, and the combat actually feels good with the guns. The shooting mechanics and stuff in there actually feel really good. It's just that if you're going to have the guns and melee combat and try to have both of them, It's a very hard balancing act, I'm sure, for a developer or for just any type of programmer. But if you're going to have both of them in there, like you at least
Yeah.
have to make an effort for both because right now, like I'm sure they probably did something with patches and stuff to make it look better. But when the game first launched, you were stupid not to carry a gun around. Like there was no reason to carry a katana around. You would die. You would just get sniped from guys behind vehicles. There was no purpose to have a melee
Yeah.
weapon. All you had to do pick the Glock up and start shooting, and you win.
So, as someone that actually played basically the entire game with a sword, there are some things I agree with you, some things I disagree. So I'll talk about the things that I disagree at the beginning. I thought that it was okay. The melee combat was okay. I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying it was great. I'm not saying it was bad. It was just okay. It was It was average.
Yeah, mediocre. Yeah.
Well, I'll say I think mediocre has a negative context. I'll just say it's just
Average, yeah,
average.
average,
Yeah, just
okay.
because
Okay.
you felt incredibly powerful if you were delegating those points to making your character a melee build. Let me do a quick aside here. So I was playing Fallout 4 the other day, and I was just thinking, I want to make like a Brotherhood of Steel super soldier from Final Fantasy VII. How can I make that? So I made this modded character. I have an Xbox, and I basically gave him all this really cool armor mods to make him look super jacked. He looked so cool. I'll send you a screenshot of it sometime, Evan. Gave him a katana that was actually they got the animations from Cyberpunk in the game. And there's another mod I downloaded. You know what it was called? Bullet deflection. And I was able to block with my sword, and the bullets would go right back at the person and fall out. Which is so freaking cool. Only problem is it's a parry. It's not a block. So you have to keep pressing it to do the block. But why am I talking about this? Because I love the melee combat in Fallout 4, which is that's sad. It's only because of mods though. I like it. But like in Fallout 4, I'm able to create this like samurai, like Sephiroth soldier. In Fallout 4 and role play as like a Brotherhood of Steel guy who you send him in to kill like behemoths. With all my armor mods, I can like block a behemoth strike and take no damage. Like, it's insane. Like, what you can do with mods on Xbox, by the way. Moving on. So why am I talking about this? Because the melee combat in Cyberpunk is very simplistic. Very, 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 very simplistic. It's not very engaging. You feel badass. We get to cut people up into different pieces. That's cool, I guess. But the thing is there's no real actual moves, like cool animations. But you want to know why? Because it's all first person.
Yeah.
There's no point. I mean, it's a first person game with like sword combat, which you can't see how your character is dodging the bullets and stuff. There are other cyber mods that can enhance your ability to survive. But the only problem is like you can't like cut bullets. You can't like do cool shit like effectively block it like assault guns and rifles and you can't really be that ninja. I mean, you can still do stealth, of course, and all that. I'm not saying you can't do the bare minimum, but like melee combat is very average. And honestly, I may go a little bit lackluster in certain regards that make it not the best. So I'm with you on that. So things that I agree is definitely that the combat's very boring for melee. Unless you're doing stealth, then they just all die. I mean, the only good thing about swords is that like if you have a high build with the melee weapons, you can literally rush into a small little gang area and kill everybody before your slowdown goes out, and they're all dead. They can't do anything. They're just dead. So that's cool. I like the gun combat okay. It's not the best I've ever seen. The best combat I've ever seen is like Titanfall.
Yes.
Destiny. Destiny 2 has better shooting mechanics. It feels better. It's way more fluid. It feels better. I will say that definitely the shooting mechanics is not the best I've ever seen. It's okay. But it is what it is. So the combat, I think from what I've been reading on articles, is like the next patches they're going to be doing are changing up how the combat works in terms of sword animation. So I think it's really important to talk about. Heavy weapons. I have never seen anyone with heavy weapons that I have seen stream. I think because they made heavy weapons such a very, you can find the same heavy machine gun anywhere, but like you don't see it a lot. But you see it a lot, but I don't really never see anyone use it because like why use it? I mean, yeah, you kill people really fast, but you just have to lug that whole fucking thing around. It's just
Yeah, it's more niche.
it's whatever. I mean, you can role play a Terminator, cool. I mean, whatever. Like it's not. It's whatever. Okay, let's talk about the next point because I don't have anything else more. Unless you have something more to say there. So we're talking about combat improvements. It was actually something else that Aries thought of that I was thinking about like earlier today. But you want to know why? Because of the anime. Uh, Companions. Why on God's green earth are there no companions in Cyberpunk? It makes no sense. You literally are by yourself, not only in free roam, but like you are for the vast majority of it by yourself without any help, other than for like certain like main scenario plot points. But other than that, you are solo. That's it. And that also adds to the feeling of loneliness and emptiness that you feel going around killing more and more people all the freaking time, just nonstop as a merc. Because like in the anime, you see groups of like these cyberpunks that are stick together that like do missions together. Where in Cyberpunk 2077, you do those missions by yourself, and it's just like okay, well maybe it's just V's just that good of a merc. Bullshit. Like no, they made like a solo player, single player power fantasy. And the problem is that it made it less believable, in my opinion. There's no companions that really follow you around in certain instances. Like if it's not tied to a mission, if it's tied to a mission, that some people will follow you around. Other than that, no one ever follows you around. There are no companions in the game. You have quest givers. You don't have companions. You have people that will talk to you that you can go talk to that are stationary NPCs, but you do not have anyone that has your back in the open world, which is in my opinion, a terrible design flaw.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Yeah, we were talking about before we got on. Like, I
Yes.
just feel like literally in the entire world, like everybody's out to get you. There is no believability in just that premise of the gameplay. And of just the story and the gameplay of itself. You have people, yeah, sure, that like you befriend and stuff, but like if you asked like one of your random people that you actually like help in the city, you'd be like, hey, wanna go fuck some shit up? They'd probably be like, nah, I'm gonna take a sick day. Like these people will not like they do not have a loyalty to you. All they like want you to do is do shit for them. So it's completely different from the fact that like you would have people in like we were talking about Fallout 4 and like Skyrim, where you tell somebody, "Hey, come with me," and they're like, "Okay, yeah, sure," like yeah, I'll come with you, and that's why those games feel like there's an actual like world and people in them because you befriend these people, they come with you wherever you want to take them. You can basically you can get tired of them and just tell, "Hey, go home," and they're like, "Yeah, okay, all right, I'll see you later." And so like there is some something to be said about them just having it doesn't have to be many NPCs or many of the characters follow you around. You don't have to have a squad of 8 roll up to a gang shootout with your party of NPCs. Like you don't have to do that. Even if you just had even just one NPC makes a difference for them to follow you around. Just one can make your difference on how you feel about the world and how it like actually relates to you.
Yeah.
And so like all I think we were basically saying about that point really is just if there was somebody or some folks to follow you around in that place, then the city automatically feels more alive. It feels like maybe like you just want to take your crew over to like the club and you guys just want to chill. You just tell everybody pop a squat and y'all just watching the show. That makes you automatically right there feel like you're
Yeah.
stuck somewhere special.
There, and I think you just said it really well. That is so. The anime again does that so well. Exactly what you're talking about. Like, I'm really trying to avoid spoilers here. But like, the companionship that you find in the world of Night City that actually creates like a level of just like deep trust with these characters, with each other. That they use like the same items, like the med boosters, the inhalers, and all that in the world, in the game, in this anime. But they also like they hang out with each other. They do a mission. They go to the bars and get drunk. And like it's really cool how the anime fleshes out the things that we are dying to have in 2077. That we are absolutely craving to have, because as soon as Jackie's gone, that's it. I mean, you have your handlers that kind of like tell you about missions, do this, blah blah blah. Good job, V. Here's your cut, blah 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 blah. It's very, very, very lackluster in terms of making a believable world, because you don't have anyone else really to share with other than people who dialogue dump you. That's it. Like, you need to have people that experience the world with you, and talk about just very bare bones stuff here. Fallout 4. Okay, Fallout 4. Doing good things with Piper or Curie or whoever, like doing things that make them happier to be with you, like helping people or killing people, depending on who's your, comrade. They love you more. They like you more and want to spend more time with you. They open up to you. They grow affinity towards your character for the actions that he does. And that's what leads Fallout 4 to feel like your decisions matter more. Even though Fallout 4, like, I'll be honest with you, like, there's not a lot of great decisions in that game. Very lackluster in that. But you have that romance, or it doesn't have to be romance. You have that companion side of it that adds an element of believability to the world and adds that feeling of what we say earlier, belonging in the world. That further encapsulates V. Because right now, V just... he is whatever. He's basically how they did Fallout 4 in leveling systems. There's no like max cap level. He can be the max level and be good at everything. And that makes him a worse character. That makes him like, and that's a weird analogy to make, but like him not having a care. I mean, yeah, you can romance people. That's cool and all. But there's like only one person you can romance. They're not even a companion in the real world. You can't experience the world with these people and hear what they have to say about what's going on in the world. Like Panam, like she's a nomad. She's hanging out with you in in the city. You can't just like, go up to a bar with her and just hang out. You can't just like go do a mission where you're hunting down some cyber psychos and she goes, "Oh my God, I'm going to throw up." Just certain small dialogue things that make the world feel more three-dimensional and not two-dimensional. That's all we're talking about. And I think that companions have to be in the next game. They have to be. There's no excuse why they are not in the game. I'm going to talk about what's next. We had number 8. We could talk about this earlier, but like in terms of the world, there is no reason why there's no flyable cars in the game. That makes no sense. There are literal flying cars everywhere. That is a lack of verticality. You have to do stupid stuff to even get to the top of buildings that there's no purpose to. There's some places you should go on the top of buildings too, because there's like hidden houses up there and you can get like some hidden loot and stuff. That's cool. But there's no flyable cars, which is stupid. There's no verticality, and it just makes it matter less. Like Max Tech, the guys who, like, the very beginning of the game, where they jump out of their little hover car and they blast like these like gang members off the streets and clean and like dome them in the head as you drive away. They don't show up in the flying cars. They're just there. They just spawn out of the ether. And like, there's like one time that you're in the flying car. At least I remember. There's one that when you're the corpo at the very beginning, but you just sit there. It's a cutscene. You're just kind of sitting there drinking your little martini, your little champagne, while everyone else. Yeah, that's it. You can jump on top of a vehicle as it's flying away, and then you die. I've done that. I was like, oh God, this is terrible. There's no flying cars. There's no verticality to gameplay because everything's supposed to be on street level and or in buildings. And there's no real reason to go on top of buildings other than just to say you did
None.
it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like if you wanted to cosplay as Bruce Wayne, oh, so sorry, bitch. You gotta stay grounded. Like like you can't like
yeah,
the only times where you get to do it are in missions where you're basically going into buildings and like cleaning house essentially. Like the first mission that you do with the girl in the bathtub, like that.
yes,
If the game was like that, except you have the verticality to go into those buildings and like actually go up a building, fight people inside the building, then make it to the top and like let's say like when your friends has got like a damn jet or a damn helicopter or something, and they
hmm
like pull you out of there and stuff like that for like a mission, automatically 10 times better than 59% of the missions already in Cyberpunk. I'll
yeah,
just go ahead and say it.
I agree.
Like
Yeah.
something like that is literally better than the things they have you go around and do because again, it's just one of those things where the world does not feel like there's anybody in there that has your best interest in looking out for you, and instead it's just like, fuck you, give me money.
Other than
And
dialogue dump NPC characters that are
yes,
only there to talk to you about things. They're now, some may argue, well, that's part of Night City. You can't trust anybody, blah 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 blah. But like that's a cop out. I mean, obviously you can have companions that you can hire. I mean, it doesn't have to be that in depth, but like still, it just goes to show just how lackluster the main game was. In a lot of those regards. Okay, this is the next one that we need to talk about, and this one's probably going to be the beefiest of them all. So gear up. Cyberpunk 2077 has the worst armor slash clothing options I have seen in the game. In terms of a triple A game, the worst. And why do I say that? Because they patched it now. Okay, they added a transmog system where like every item you ever get, you save it, and you can then transmog whatever you're wearing into actually a cool outfit. That is cool. I am so glad that's there 2.5 years later. But I'm not happy that I had to look like I was from the planet J.C. Penney as I'm doing merc jobs with my purple jorts. I don't get it. Like I really don't get what they were thinking when it came to clothing, when it came to armor. I don't have a
I
problem with the
literally
progression. I don't like the options of what you had all the time. It was
no
so
the
poor.
the first armor set I remember getting was a orange like sweater,
Yep.
and yeah, I literally looked like an '80s R&B band. I was like, what the fuck am I wearing? And like, there's like, oh yeah, look at our cool customizable options. I was like, this shit is awful. Like, no, nobody wants to run around looking like this,
Yes.
unless you're kind of just like memeing. But like like nobody wants to
Yeah.
run around this like cybernetic world looking like damn, the Soul Train members. Like, no, nobody wants to do this shit.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're gonna put this world in the place where you want to do it, get like some like you get some like a hell. I take a cut off jean shirt with fucking spikes over these goddamn sweaters and the same jacket that everybody's got on with their character, which is basically what you start off with. But like, there's no reason to really like want to change it because it's one of the best things that your character looks good in is the
Exactly,
starting
because your
jacket.
stats are obviously going to be lower because you haven't found anything you want to change to. So it's like, I mean, they kind of have like a Destiny 2 system where like you get really stupid looking gear that don't mix and match very well, but at least they give you character like shaders to like make that look a little bit
Yeah,
better. But for what Cyberpunk did, they didn't have that. So you're constantly looking like a mixed match of like a Terminator Arnold Schwarzenegger who went to Journeys. I mean, it just does not make sense. It looks very stupid. So the outfits were just honestly terrible. I mean, I made a Peaky Blinder character that was pretty dope. I really enjoyed that. And like now I can transmog and like actually have better stats, not have to worry about the other crap. But that should have already been there. There's no excuse why that wasn't already there. So let's talk about something else. So I'm going to combine the next point areas with what we're talking about now because they are very hand in hand with the same things. So
yeah.
so here's the thing. So character creator as well. Character creator was not as big as it was what we thought it was going to be. Fallout 4 has the best, as of right now. Fallout 4 has the best character creation ever made. It is, you can change so many aspects to your face. Someone made Barack Obama, John Cena. They made Breaking Bad, Walt. I mean,
It's pretty crazy.
you can actually make an insane amount of, you can make whatever you want on those things, and it's awesome. It's so cool. They made Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's awesome. But in Cyberpunk 2077, it's okay. It's mediocre. You really don't get as many options as you think you do. Some of the hairstyles look so stupid. Like, I mean, it's like,
But hey, don't worry. You can change the size of your dick, though.
Which was the dumbest. It was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, it was a functionality that literally had no purpose.
Small dick, donkey-sized dick.
Well,
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, look at our good
it had no
customization.
point. Let me talk about that, because that's actually a really good point. What was the point of including that if you were never going to see it, other than if you're just taking your clothes off?
Never got to see your dick get slobbered on. Never.
I mean, if you take off all your pants, I mean, you see it. But like, other than that, like in actual sex scenes, anything like that, I mean, you see plenty of boobs and vaginas and shit, but you don't see anything like that. It's like there's no point.
You have the glitch. There was a glitch. I remember this. There was a glitch
that was
where
sneaking
every
through your
time you
pants.
get on a motorbike, like, it was like your pants never existed, so you're just riding bare ass around the city with
your dong out, and like no one, like, I mean, maybe some people would be like, put some pants on. I don't remember if they actually even do that, but like nothing ever happens. The police don't stop you because like you're just running around naked. I mean, there's no
public
point.
Indecency.
Yeah. There's literally no point for existing in. Like, there's no point in that. It was a stupid functionality that they can say that they did it, but there's only two options: small or large. That's it. That's literally it. Or hairy. You can change like your pubic hair style, but it's so stupid. Like, there was no reason to actually include that other than for the sake of, hey, you could change your dick size, which was really, really pointless. That, honestly, I mean, you could have saved all that time with all that little functionality of adding your dick into a game. You could have added so many other things that mattered. Like, I don't know, better hairstyles, better beards. I don't know, maybe a third-person camera. A third-person camera. I will never forget when they announced that they are taking third-person out of the game. And I told myself, like, I cannot stand games that give you this like in-depth character creator for you to not see your face in the game.
Yeah.
There is no point in a character creation to like be this so in depth in it with a character and not be able to like zoom out the camera, go third person, take a look at your character, look how badass he looks, all that good stuff. There is no point in it. It is wasted development time of a functionality that literally doesn't matter. Honestly, you should just make a male or female character, and that's it. That's all you had to do. Male or female, no character creation, and if that's what you wanted to go with, that's fine, because it doesn't matter what you look like because you don't see your face ever, because they removed cutscenes from the game. They literally removed cutscenes from the game. It's a video game. There's always going to be cutscenes. There's nothing wrong with cutscenes, but like there's a cutscene at the very beginning of the game, but it's also a first-person cutscene, so it doesn't really matter. It's stupid.
Like it is. It's so fucking dumb. Like, what is this, Super Mario Bros? Like, you guys just like, do you not like? Even then, they introduce you to the fucking level. These guys are just apparently just completely opposed to. Even though they created one of the, in my opinion, just one of the best games ever made, which was Witcher 3, and that game is littered with cutscenes. It's littered with them.
Yep.
And like, CD did Projekt Red did such a good job with The Witcher 3, and doing that everybody, I think, in their brain was being like, oh, dude, you're gonna be able to like see these like type of like quality cutscenes in like first person, and like it's gonna like change your experience. But literally none of that happens because
it doesn't happen. Yeah, no.
Because all of it's part of dialogue trees that have absolutely no meaning, because the other NPC is going to do what they want to do to you anyway, and like that's just it. It's just it. Like, when I think of things that the decisions for cutscenes that like stick out to me, I think of going back and watching like some of the old KOTOR videos and some of the Mass Effect cutscenes
Oh, come on. Yeah.
and
Yeah, for sure.
things like that, where you see people's reactions to what you're saying. You can see your buddies' reactions to what they're saying,
Yep.
and how, depending on how you're doing, the conversation kind of flows. Like, there has to be a flow to it, and that's what I feel like a lot of the games like that did. It's because there is a natural flow to a conversation. You don't go up to somebody and be like, "Hey, motherfucker, what's up?" And somebody goes, like, no, like, it just doesn't, like, unless, again, somebody's memeing, but, like, that does not happen regularly. If you approach somebody on the street like that, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's
So
the
just to
natural
rein that
response
in,
to it.
so we keep this focus on third person. What you're
Yeah.
basically saying is you lose perspective on how all the characters are acting towards each other versus just seeing it all in first person and through cutscenes as well, which is a
Yeah,
very good,
yeah.
yeah,
But
because
not, I wouldn't say perspective. I would just say it's the idea that you're talking to someone. Like that's your character approach. You the character approach that NPC first, and like the interactions that you have in Cyberpunk are not do not flow well when I look at them versus other games that have even a first person option like that, but like Fallout and Skyrim, where the character has a reaction to it.
oh, I can
It
tell
just
you
doesn't
why it doesn't.
happen.
I can tell you why because name me one other instance where you talk to more than one person at once.
Yeah, never. It's
I
always one
mean,
on
maybe
one.
the hotel
Always.
where you talk to like the concierge, the guy at the front desk, just kind of hanging out, like checking you into the
Yeah.
hotel. That is it. Like your game is basically you talking to one person at a time. That is it, and or killing people. So like, that's my biggest thing because like, there's no. Your character is made and he is rendered into the game with all the customization that you did, but you don't see it ever in the game. You see it in the inventory screen, but you do not see it like in the cutscenes. You don't see it anywhere other than like maybe you see it when you're looking into a mirror. That's literally it. That is the only time you actually see your character and his hands. So it's a bad problem. Like I mean, there's no reason, and they said they made it that way because they designed the game to be in the first person view. But then again, I take a look at other games like I don't know Red Dead Redemption that literally, or like the
Yes.
GTA
Yeah.
series games that literally were designed for third person. And guess what? Made a design for first person that works amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying
There's
that like
nothing wrong with it. Yeah.
what this shows is this that they cut out all these things because they wanted to meet a deadline because they knew it was going to take longer. They're going to keep losing shares in their company. And they had to like cut some of the extra stuff off because they knew they were going to be able to reach it. And I think that's why they took those things out. They took out cutscenes.
Yep.
They took out all these things because they knew they would not be able to make the game in enough time to before they sunk as a company. And they made that call. But here's the thing. I'm not excusing it, but what I am saying is that if the next Cyberpunk comes out and it's just like this one, I am not going to be happy because what
I'm
they
not gonna
have here.
buy it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, that's my point. Like if they, like I do not recommend anyone that buys another Cyberpunk 2077 as it is. If there are not improvements, if there is not third person, if there's not better character creator, if there is not better combat, if I'm going to be honest, specifically third person is my biggest issue. That is honestly my biggest issue I have with the game itself is the lack of companions, but most of all, it is the third person because there is literally no reason that you cannot have it. There needs to be a cover system. I think if you're going to go third person, I'd rather just be a third person game rather than first. I mean, Red Dead Redemption is able to have a cover system as well in first and in third person. It doesn't really work as well in first person, but you can still do it. But you can do third person, have a cover system where you get behind a container and like, you're locked into it. You have that as a defense mechanism from like bullets and all that crap. It's just
Yeah.
like
It's
there's
but
horizontal gameplay, but there's no real good vertical gameplay that we talked about as well. But
and
like,
I'll go ahead and probably tell you that like if you want a cover system, especially in Cyberpunk, which I think would actually work, and when they I shouldn't say when, if they do third person. is just take some notes from like something like Gears of War. In my opinion, Gears of War has the best cover system that's ever been made because you have active running into different areas. You can you can press the X button onto another piece of cover. You can go into that. The movement is fluid. So if you're going to do that, why not just do the fluid movement where if you're taking cover and you're in third person, press the X button to go over to another piece of cover. Slide. You can see your character slide
Yeah.
over to the
Yeah.
other piece of, like that's all you have to do.
So I will say this. I will say this. For a linear game, it's amazing. But for an open world game, it's because it's not obviously it's not an open world game. But if we're talking about like from a linear game, who has the best cover system? I would definitely agree. Definitely 100% hands down Halo. For open world,
Not Halo. No, Gears of War.
sorry, Gears of War. Gears of War.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
But for open world games, easily Red Dead 2. Easily Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2.
So here's the thing. People be like, well, no, that game kind of feels like, kind of weighty. Yeah, it's weighty. But have you actually seen what you can actually do in terms of combat mechanics? You can dive on the ground, get behind cover. You can run. You can dive to the left, and as you're diving, shoot the guy. And you can like as you're like laying down, like blast a guy's head off. I mean, like you can do quite a lot with the cover mechanics in Red Dead 2 for an open world game, and it's like god tier cover system. It's really good. So I will. For Gears of War to like really kind of like set in stone what a cover system should be. Because if I remember correctly, I can't remember what came first, Gears or GTA 4. Was it Gears? So yeah, Gears, in my opinion, I think I may be wrong. There may be some other game that did it. I can't remember. Actually, no. Mass Effect 1 had cover system. Mass Effect 1 did have a cover system.
It did.
It wasn't amazing, but I mean, it was a good foundation.
I preferred 2 and 3's cover system over it, just as far as.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Who I think had the better one? I would probably put Gears a little bit above it, and then I would put Mass Effects. Either 3.
Sure. No, I agree with you.
Right
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example of cover systems. That like if you're going to do third person, I think the problem what happened was it's difficult. It's really difficult. It's like they tried to be vertical and horizontal, and they did not do well with both.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For instance, like Red Dead is a completely horizontal game. Most of the games we mentioned are all horizontal based, right? Mass Effect Andromeda is actually a game that did really well with its combat in terms of horizontal and verticality.
Yes, because you can do like the jump pads,
the jump jet. You can jump up, aim, and like shoot down as you're up. The jump, crash down, and stab people on the ground. They had melee weapons. They had guns, grenade launchers, missile launchers, assault rifles, shotguns, pistols, magnum pistols, which apparently was the shitty one, but I always used it. I thought it was fucking cool. I literally got a sword. It was like an Asari sword because it looked so much like the White Ranger Saba, his weapon.
Oh, yeah.
And I literally named my sword Saba, and it's in the game. And I thought that was so cool. But that's what I'm talking about. Like it's like first person. It's just not that great. Like Fallout 4 has terrible horizontal and verticality combat. It's not meant for that. Like there's no cover system unless you're in first person where you hold the aim trigger and you can peek out. But other than that, it's not great. You're meant to take bullets, and it's an RPG where you have health. Cyberpunk is still an RPG, but you can still get shot up pretty easily, pretty fast if you don't have the right gear.
Cyberpunk combat is meant for your ass to not take, a full clip of a machine gun to your chest. Like it is not meant for that at all.
It is, and that's why I think that. That's why I don't think it did very well in terms of longevity. Verticality, horizontal gameplay. Which I think that if they were going to do that, they need to draw back on the Cyberpunk combat what they have, and go for a more not simplistic, but go for more of like an Andromeda combat system, or go for more of I mean, there's just so many like games you can use as like foundations. Not definitely not Arkham. That doesn't make sense. But like, like, just like the games that we've been mentioning, for sure. And add that level of combat with like using cover and getting behind cover. I think that would really make the game a lot better.
Or,
Um,
yeah, even to increase your verticality, have different parts of the area in the city where if you're getting surrounded, you can leave the cover, climb up a ladder or something like that, and get into an elevated position to where you can start shooting down on people. And like just it can be
yeah.
simple stuff like that. It doesn't have to be game changing. It just has to be fluid. The fluid part is what matters.
So I will say this. So there are things you can do that in some regards. But here's the problem though. Some of
It should
them
just
are
be
dependent
everywhere.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I agree. Like some of them are
Yeah.
dependent on. Like what type of jump you have? Do you have a double jump where you sound like
Mm.
a creaky bed as you jump? Uh,
You a Smash
just
Bros
listen to
character?
that.
Yeah.
Listen to that sound. It's literally a creaky bed. And then they oriented the power jump, which is the worst one. Let's do the double jump.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there's that one. Yeah, I mean, it's just like the verticality is there for the sake of the jumping, not for the sake of like actually having the high ground. And there are certain like shooter sections in the game where like there are like multi levels to it, but it's just like you don't get a benefit from it.
Yeah, and some of it again, it's tied to story missions.
It
Like
is.
it's
It
that's
very much
yeah.
is. That's a very good
So
point. It very much is.
so
Yeah.
the verticality is there in the story. It's just not there again in the open world where things should feel more alive and open. So
Like Andromeda's
it's
combat. You can do that everywhere.
yes. You can, yeah, literally everywhere. So if you're it's one of those things where and we talked about this even off stream before, and that's why I felt so bad about people who are wanting to use melee like you and people who are wanting to like
Hmm.
kind of like do stuff. It's because when I like combat that's very fast, it's very it's got to feel like guttural and visceral. Like if you're going to hit somebody upside the head with a frying pan and some type of RPG or something, I want that thing to go boink. Like I want it to
Yeah.
boom. Like I want
Yeah.
somebody to get
Yeah.
clapped over the head with it. I don't want somebody to go and then drop and then you've got to fight another
Well,
five guys with
I
shotguns hiding behind cars. Like no.
I wanted to see like yeah, you can cut people's arms and legs off, but like I want to see
Yes.
like they're robots. Part of these guys are literal
Yes.
robots. Be
They're
able to cut someone's
machines.
arm. Yeah, they're literal machines. You should be able to cut off someone's arm. Again, watch the anime. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Literally watch the anime. So we're gonna finish this conversation up.
Yeah. Just
Let
talking
me
about the
see.
quality of life. It
Just
just really.
it's very simple. I'll
So
let you take over. I'll be right back.
yeah. So I think basically um what we want especially to just for the new Cyberpunk because for everybody who is watching that hasn't seen it too, CD Projekt Red has announced that they're going to be doing some more titles that got announced. The other one's going to be another Cyberpunk, and I don't know about The Witcher. No, I don't think they announced that. I had to look back at it, but definitely know they announced they're going to work on another one. So if that's the case, if we're going to take some lessons, which I'm sure they'll be talking about that when they start making this game, the bugs problem is just it's it's hard for anyone to kind of escape the conversation when you talk about certain releases in the past couple of years, like Fallout 76. If you guys haven't watched a video called The Fall of 76, go ahead and watch that. It is absolutely like great. The editing on that video is godlike. So shout outs to that video. I don't know the YouTuber's name, but um, he that guy is definitely up to snuff when it comes to video editing. Your funny points. So shout out to him. But really, I mean, realistically, the game on PS4 at the time I had a PS4. I think me and me and
I am
Jake
back.
did. I was talking about you're right on time. I was talking about the experience of the bug stuff. So
Eh,
I
yeah.
played it on PS4.
Same.
Um,
Initially,
and
same. Yeah.
yeah, initially, um, I only played it on PS4. Actually, I did not touch it on PS5. And
Yeah.
even though it'd probably be a better experience for me now, but it was
Hmm.
just the fact that every time that I turned on the console, I knew when I plugged in that game and I booted it up that I was going to crash 2 or 3 times in about the first
Yeah.
probably hour
Yeah.
that I played it. And that to me was just
It's
my
unforgivable.
morale. Yeah,
Yeah.
my morale just dropped off. Like it just fucking evaporated
I mean,
because
yeah.
it's just awful. Like
There's
I
literally no
could not.
justification. Yeah.
Yeah, I could not for the life of me understand why they would do that. And then I thought, oh, well, fuck, I know why. Because the game wasn't meant to play on PS4. They sold it on PS4, but they modified it to where the game would play better on the new gen stuff. And if that's the case,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm all for it. But you advertised it on the old consoles
They
and the
didn't. They
new
did not even
consoles.
show any footage of any of the
Yes.
Xbox One or
And
PS4 versions.
And the worst part about this is that the people who reviewed the game didn't either. They
Yep.
did not do it. People who I like too, YouTubers who I like a lot, they did not do it once. They only showed it on their brand new consoles that came out earlier that year, and they all went, "Yep, the game plays great."
Yeah. So I will say this. I am happy and mad at them. Not really. I'm only half mad at them, right? Because at the
Hmm.
time there was a very minute amount of consoles available of the next gen, and like when they were given a review copy, it was only one copy of the game. So they reviewed it, and they just went off of this is fine. There's some issues here and there. Cool, cool, cool. And yeah, that's really about it. They did on the new versions. But here's the thing, though. I guarantee you they did not give anybody review codes for old gen consoles.
Yeah, for the
I
PS4.
guarantee you they didn't because they
I
knew.
almost would want to bet against it because there are some popular reviewers who have bigger channels, not big like the Yang Yis and like the Angry Joes and
I
all
mean,
these
Yong,
guys.
yeah.
Yeah, Yang Ya. But like I'm sure that they actually had some guys. They may not have many subscribers. They may have like 2K or 200K, and like that's still a big channel. And I'm pretty sure I did end up seeing a guy's. This is after, of course, I fucking bought the game, but he had about 200,000 subscribers, so he was he was pretty all right. He's doing all right in his YouTube channel. He still had a PS4, and he showed the gameplay after the game had already released and gave his review, and basically said, "Oh my God, I've wasted $70."
Yeah.
And I just could not believe it that I already bought it. I'm 3 days into playing it. I stumble upon his review, and I'm like, oh shit, what have I done? Type of thing. So, just to give a list of some of the bugs that happened to, we already mentioned one, the slingshot thing, basically in just random missions, cars, basically almost levitating off the ground, then dropping and killing you. And sometimes, yeah, your pants fall off when you're on bikes, but that's forgivable. That's funny. I'll forgive that. That's
I'm
funny
gonna
as
be
shit.
honest with you.
I think
I
it's funny.
stopped laughing at some of the issues they had. Like, I mean, yeah, there's funny bugs, but like,
Hmm.
but let's talk about this. Yeah, so if you're gonna release the game, it has to be in a better state. And like,
Yeah.
funny as it is to be able to have a dick in the game and like be able to,
Yeah, to be
as
able to
funny as
see
it
it
is,
flapping around
I'm
on the
gonna be
land when
honest with
you're
you.
driving.
It's honestly not as funny anymore because why I know why
Yeah.
they added that was because they wanted to soften the blow of like the blowback they were going to get, and I think they added
Yes.
stupid shit like that because like, hey, it's fun, you can make a dick, ha ha ha. Like, I mean, like what
Hmm.
other game can let you do that? None,
Yeah, none.
literally none.
With nobody.
So like I just I do not find it funny. They're like, yeah, there was another bug. But like at the time, yeah, it was funny. But like looking back at just how poor of a state the game was in is just unforgivable. And I will say this: the next game that comes out, it cannot be in that state. For instance, let's
No,
talk about
absolutely
Starfield
not.
for right now. So Starfield, Bethesda is on like it is. People are watching
Thin
that company right
ice.
now.
Yeah.
They are on thin ice for not only how they've done Fallout 76, the community's fed up. I mean, how they,
Oh,
Fallout
that's
4. I thought Fallout 4 was perfectly fine. I didn't have too many issues with Fallout 4. I love that game. I spent hours upon hours upon hours of
yes.
playing it. Was it
Hmm.
the best Fallout? Hell no. But it was still a great time. I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, it was more
Yeah,
of a
Fallout
game of
4 still
like, yeah, it
slaps.
still
Yeah.
slaps. I still mod the shit out of it, and I've been playing
Yeah.
that. I literally had like one of the coolest armor
Skyrim still
mods. Yeah,
slaps. Like we, I actually
it does
just
too.
funny enough, I just got through going over to your house was it, a
Yeah.
week ago,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
uh, and you were just showing me the Skyrim mods, and I was like, oh fuck, this is like dope as hell. Like
You
there
would
is like so
love
much.
it. You would
There's
love it.
so much shit that you can do in like these little cheat rooms and stuff. And like you can like experiment with stuff. You can start crafting some new stuff to make your guy look cool. Like
There's literally a Naruto mod that adds like the Rasengan, the
yes,
Sharingan.
you can get the
Uh,
Sharingan. You can get different powers from the Mangekyo and stuff. Like all that shit is so fire to me, and I
I
cannot for
know.
the life of me
You need to get a Series
understand.
X. You need to get a Series X.
Yeah, I cannot for the life of me. I cannot for the life of me understand that these companies see what these guys with mods do to
uh-huh.
other games, and they don't want to make their game like that, and just make sure that the bugs don't happen with like cool shit
Yeah,
like that.
well,
It's
yeah,
crazy to me.
that's why Bethesda has such a reputation of like, hey, they make a game, the fans fix it,
Yeah.
and that
Yep.
is that's a really bad place to be in because usually the
Mhm.
fixes they make are bad. They don't actually fix problems because the engine notoriously has issues within itself that
Yes.
just are to never get actually ironed out or fixed. It's actually a problem. But here's the cool thing. Speaking about mods, CD Projekt Red just released their own mod manager that's actually only on PC right now. Sadly, it's called
Yeah.
Red something. It's actually free DLC that you can download that enables you to work in tandem, like to download mods into your game on PC, which is awesome because that actually creates a level of longevity to a game. Do you want to know how to make your game stay alive? Is mod capability. There is
And
no in between mod
and
capability.
and
And
make
what?
the
What?
mods
Free.
make them free.
So I
Free
will
them.
say I completely agree.
Free Willy.
Creation Club mods were usually pretty not great. Very lackluster in a lot of regards. They did some things that were pretty cool on Skyrim. Fallout 4 had some okay mods. I can't remember any off the top of my head that were just freaking amazing. They had like a settlement like assault system where like you can people will just like nonstop assault your settlements that you've been building up forever, and you can like let your settlers
Oh
fight them and
yeah.
stuff, which is cool. So I think that's worth it in that regard. But there are like paid mods should not be a thing because like the mod developers who do that only get like a certain like amount of money back for that, and it's not a lot. They don't get the credit which they deserve because they made the mod, but Bethesda should not be getting the credit for it. It's them that made the mod.
No, they should be getting the money and the credit. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like it's insane. But like, if you really want to create a game that has longevity to it, Mountain Blade Warband, Bannerlord, Fallout,
Mm.
Skyrim, all the Fallout's, like 3, New Vegas, 2, 1. If any game you can think about that's on PC or whatever, that has mod support, and they are able to create things. Like I literally have a Price and I can't remember the guy. He's like a Russian guy in my Fallout game, and they're like two followers.
Oh, Yuri.
I think it's Yuri. I can't remember if it's his voice actor or not. I can't remember. He's a Russian guy, and like he says, "I'll take you to that." Like he doesn't like he's not a main companion. He's like a side companion that like will follow you in tandem with another main companion. But like just having them with you. They don't. You can add mods that give them like their outfits and shit. I don't do that. I just kind of give them whatever mods I want because I give them whatever armors I want.
Every time
But
like a one of the nukes goes off, we are leaving. Like even
but the thing is, you can literally if you know how to mod. Like I can, by the way, if you ever get an Xbox Series X, you're gonna have to be very patient with me because you're gonna be very frustrated if I don't walk you through modding because it
Yeah.
is not easy as you think. Because like your game will break and then you have to uninstall, reinstall. I can give you the right method to the madness, and your game will run pretty okay. Pretty great actually. I barely have any crashes. It happens seldomly, but I mean it's just you're adding mods into a game that was not
Yeah, it's
designed for it. So you have to have
yeah,
some sort of. But anyway, we're getting off track here. But all I'm trying to say is this: Cyberpunk. Bethesda is on a very watchful eye right now, and you guys are too. Just because you announce a bunch of games that are coming out does not mean they're going to be. Everyone should just be immediately excited. You caused mistrust with your
yeah,
commoners, with your people, and right now, like I mean, if people still trust y'all, I mean that's their prerogative. But like I mean, I don't really have a lot of trust with Bethesda nor CD Projekt Red.
no,
And so like if you want to make a great game, make a great game. But like you know what? Like, think about some of the things that we have said today, because I think some of the things that we've said are exactly what is needed to fix the next Cyberpunk and fix the one that's already out. I think that if you take some of the things that we've said today, you can easily find what we've said across any Reddit page ever of what people want. Um, a little bit of news here: Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red is actually hiring someone to do third-person camera. So it makes you wonder, are they going to be doing a third person? That's actually what they've been doing is
we've
third
cut the
person.
content. 6 months in, we've cut the content. Yeah,
So what people are thinking is like this next big, not the next big patch, maybe, who knows, that they're going to be implementing a third person system, which they need to. There's no reason why it's not there. Add like, being able to look at your character, as he's talking and shit. I mean, it'd be really cool. So, Cyberpunk,
yeah,
CD Projekt Red, we're going to leave you with this. These next few years that you're going to be doing making these games, I am not going to be waiting impatiently. I'm going to be very patient. I don't give a shit if these games don't come out for years. Even if I die, fine. Still wait
yeah.
until they're
Still,
ready. I
yeah.
don't care. But you need to be very careful about the games you release going forward because you were once the pinnacle that people looked up to. You were the
Yeah,
you
a
were the
success.
you were the ideal company that of how a gaming company should function, how it's communicative to its customers, to their fans, but also delivered on a product that is of quality. Cyberpunk 2077 was not of quality. Now it's where it should have been when it was released.
Yeah,
Now is where it should have been when it was released. And I will say this final thing: everyone, go watch the anime. If Aries, you have to watch the anime. And everything that we've talked about in terms of better outfits, customization, weapons, characters, companions, all of that, it's going to blow your mind just how much an anime did better than 2077. Um, and how much it kind of makes you want to go back into the world just to kind of experience it from a different point of view. Because different songs now have different meanings now, and it's really fucking sad
yeah.
now.
Which,
Uh,
which is,
yeah.
I mean, isn't that some shit? Because I actually did like the soundtrack for
Uh
Cyberpunk.
huh.
I did. I thought the songs were fucking dope. I thought the channels were dope and everything like that. I was like, man, I was driving around the car and I was like, man, these are some bops, like for real. I'm sure it's way better in the anime now because you actually have more feeling to them,
They don't do
and stuff
every
like that.
soundtrack, but like there's a few
There's
songs
yeah,
that like
select
that.
yeah,
There's a select songs that like when you hear them, they now have meaning to them. That's
yes.
actually really fucking like kind of emotional because you
It's
watch this anime, you're
it's
like, oh
just like
wow,
it's just like whenever we talk about stuff like Nier and
yep,
like the Dragon Guard series
oh
that we showed and
yeah,
everything like
yeah,
that. All that stuff has now new meaning because we enjoyed the game,
hmm.
and like with like even me playing like old Gestalt and shit like that. But it was like that stuff still has meaning to me. 14 music still has a lot of meaning to me because of like different parts of the game where certain songs play. Songs can do a lot for your game, and like or a good soundtrack can a good direction, a good soundtrack with your music. And to me, Cyberpunk probably had that recipe there. There just wasn't anything notable to remember a song for. There
That's
wasn't
a
any
very
big
good point.
moment.
Yeah.
There's not a moment where you're like, oh yeah, this song's like getting me in the mood to like flex. No, there's none of
Yeah,
it.
I'm with
There's
you. That's a
nothing.
very good point. Actually
Empty,
that's an
empty
excellent
space.
point.
Yep.
And like that, and again, I'm going to say one more time: watch the fucking anime, because it's going to blow your socks off how good it is. I'm not even
So
saying that to blow smoke up anyone's ass. Like it's actually
yeah,
fantastic. But you see,
but
yeah, what were you saying?
I say, because I think we got done with our points. I'll say this
Yeah.
to kind of end it on a happier note, because
Oh, the anime is a
it's
happy
kind.
note.
Well, no, but the cyberpunk as a whole, but
Mm,
the so we all, me and you have kind of our individual things that we find just really annoying with the game by
mm.
itself, and with the companies that are doing this shit too. Like we already mentioned two of them, Bethesda and CD Projekt Red with Cyberpunk. But um, my outlook on some of the things that are coming out in 2023, and there's some good shit coming out in 2023.
Mm.
I do have hope for the future, believe it or not. It's like the first time I've ever had like hope for gaming in the future, with a grain of salt, mind you. Uh, but I do feel like there's some stuff coming out that will kind of revitalize some of the wants that we were hoping for in the PS4 era that are now going to come to PS5.
Yeah, yeah.
I do like the idea of some of the games that got shown at the State of Play, with the Yakuza-like game, I think I forgot the name of it already, but
I can't
um,
remember the name, but yeah,
it's
it's
like
the
something
Yakuza
like
game in the Meiji
Shin.
period. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Well, there's
that
two games.
game.
There's the Yakuza one. There's another one that's like Ghosts of Tsushima.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So they're,
Those
yeah.
those look promising. And the last time that I got really hyped for something was honestly Ghost of Tsushima, and that game did not disappoint. That game was straight fire because it's the same guys that made Infamous,
There was one
and they know how.
disappointment I had, but
That's good.
it's
Yeah, it's the outcome of the story thing. Yeah,
well, the
but I
outcome of the
won't spoil
story.
anybody for that.
I mean, it's regardless. I mean, I don't. Spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. If you don't listen to Ghost of Tsushima, spoiler. Here you go.
Yeah,
They literally marketed that you could be a ninja or a samurai, and
yeah, and
literally
you
there's
end up
no
in ninja.
purpose. There's no, regardless of what you do, you end up a ninja. And like they
Yeah,
marketed it
which
like you could do
I
either
found that out
or.
the rough way. Yeah, because I played my
Yeah,
entire game as a samurai, and I
yeah.
went, "Oh, ninja," and I was like, "What?" Okay,
There
yeah.
is no reason like to just be a
Yeah.
samurai. Like it's I mean it's
No,
really
there's
stupid. Like
so
that's my own disappointment with it. It's still a good game. I wish there was more weapons
yes,
though. There was not enough weapons. There's only like the katana. I wish there was other
yeah.
weapons. But other than that, it was phenomenal. It was. I would give it about an 8 or 9 out of 10.
Should have been game of the year,
I
but
agree.
sadly was
I,
not.
I do agree. But
Um, However, so that those two games definitely intrigued me.
wait, didn't
Um,
The Last of Us 2 get it that year?
yeah,
Oh,
I think
that's
it did.
right. Fuck
Yeah,
that. Fuck
I think it did.
that.
I think Last of Us Two got
It
it. And
did.
then, uh, although that year, I think the only thing I was happy about, Kingdom Hearts, I think won. I think soundtrack of the year,
That makes
which
sense.
should have, by the way. But there are some other companies that kind of got me interested in other stuff. Obviously, not everybody's a big fighting game fan. I think the Tekken 8 trailer that dropped at that time, and they opened State of Play with that. I think that was a great choice, opening State of Play with Tekken 8, the reveal trailer for it.
Hey,
The
let's do this. Let's end this video
First
here
Series of
because
Five.
we are now talking about other things other than the main video
Yes.
point. We can do
But
another video
yeah,
if we want.
yeah.
But basically, guys, that's our thoughts on Cyberpunk. Not to cut you off, we can do another video after this if you want. Just talk a little bit
Yeah,
2023
yeah.
because I want to do that because there's a lot of cool shit
Yes.
coming out.
Yeah.
So if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Check out Aries Gaming Productions at his YouTube channel.
Yeet.
We like talking about games. This is kind of like a couch conversation. LOL. I love that
Yeet.
name, by the way. Couch Conversations.
Yes.
So, we just want to talk about the state of Cyberpunk. It's in a way better state than it was. I recommend anyone that if you're thinking about picking up the game, don't pay full price for it. I think that $30 is fair. Wait till it goes on sale for sure. That's when I mean, I already got it. I got a hard copy for like really cheap. It's like $15, I think. And then like
And
I
by
got
sale, I
the
mean like 5 or anywhere between 10 or $15.
yeah, I say go in and get it. I mean, there's new DLC coming out in 2023. Basically, where you basically join the new America, like the new America faction. Apparently, it's supposed to be a spy thriller DLC. So maybe that'd be cool. Maybe it won't. We'll find out. I'll definitely be trying it out to see if there's pretty good potential with
Dragon
it.
Ball Z.
But it's going to be in 2023 where there's going to be a lot of the games coming out. But guys, if you leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. I'll catch you guys on the Flippy Flop. Deuces.